And hello, guys. Welcome to Touch Base Daily. My name is Ron Foster. I'm touching base with you as always. And you know what I like to do. Let's go to our intro. And I am back. Yes, I've been playing with this intro thing, like coming on live first and then throwing the intro on because usually I just have the intro on, but I think I like just saying hello to you all and then going to the intro. Anyway, this is Touch Base Daily, and today is Wisdom Wednesday, and you know how we do it on Wisdom Wednesdays. We bring on special people that can share wisdom, meaning just their lives, living it the way they love to live it. And that in itself is a lot of times a great vehicle of some good wisdom. So, anyway, we have the amazing Chaz Langley on today. I cannot wait to have him on. So I just want to say some greetings to some of y'all that are coming on. Brian, welcome to the building. Brian, I did not forget you. I will give you a call today because tomorrow we will have our panel discussion. Tomorrow, for those that know, on Thursday we do Trend Watch Thursday, and we talk about politics. And now we've been adding to our 4 panels. So we'll have 4 people on, myself and 3 other folks, and we're talking about politics and what's going on in the world. And so check that out for tomorrow. Hey, Chrissy's in the building. Good morning, Chrissy. Let me put these good mornings in here. Good morning. Good morning, B. And yeah, so we are now on Instagram. That thread is moving. So I'm excited about that. If you are in Instagram and you happen to be there, slide over to Touch Base Daily on YouTube. It is a better experience. You will have a full screen. You can move between screens and still watch, not like on Instagram. If you leave that Instagram tab, you have lost us. So come on over to our Touch Base Daily on YouTube. I see Hannah's in the building. Good morning, Hannah. How you doing? What's going on? Hey, someone new is in the building. Oleus. Die Brink is in the building. Pride Flower, Pansexual. What's going on? That's an interesting title there. Here we go. Who else is in the building? Okay. Okay. Here we go. Okay. So, anyway, I'm going to, with no further ado, I'm going to just dive in. I'm going to bring our guests onto the stage. But I want to give you a little intro. First of all, y'all didn't know, you may not know that this man is a singer. He is a artist, not only he's a recording artist, as well as a photographer, as well as he does so many things. I want to read something from his page. And this is about his voice as a musician. His voice has been featured on commercials for Mercedes, Mitsubishi's, Ford, Samsung, Eggo, Wendy's, McDonald's, Pepsi, Betweiser, and many more. He's been cited supporting artists such as Imagine Dragons, One Republic, Lordy, I think it is, Barry Manilow, Will Smith, Lil Wayne, Carrie Hilson, Lay AUV, there's that love, and Macklemore. Wow, cool, right? Just to name a few, not to mention numerous appearances on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, Seth Meyers, Good Morning America, and The Today Show. So this is not some dude that's just like we just picked off the street and brought him on here. This guy is amazing. And here we go. When the pursuit of being a recording artist, after that, he found another creative outlet to tell stories through his photography. And that's what we're talking about today. He has become a published photographer in various publications, as well as photographing some of the top models in New York, as well as capturing street photography in his new city. And I'm going to bring on, I want to just give you just a blur before I bring him on. Here we go. I'm gonna listen to this.
Grazie mille. I want to take a moment to thank each and every one of you for following my journey through the streets of New York, capturing these raw and beautiful interactions with strangers. I recently had an incredible opportunity to explore Italy, and I couldn't resist capturing its magic through my lens, my Leica Q to be exact. These photos are not an artistic shift, but rather an extension of what inspired me to start this page in the first place. Sharing my photography art form is a way for me to fully express myself, and I'm so grateful for your support and understanding. Your encouragement means the world to me. Rest assured, New York is still my heart and soul, and I'm excited to share more unforgettable moments from our city. Thank you for allowing me to be me and for being a part of this journey. Grazie mille. I want to take a moment to thank each and every one of you.
And here we go to the stage is our wonderful Mr. Chaz Langley.
What's up, everybody? What is up?
What's going on, sir? Back from Italy, traveling,
Yes.
and you said Lisbon, right?
Lisbon as well, yes.
Lisbon, and so I mean,
Yeah.
and you know you were I don't care where you go in the world. You just bring your spirit. I mean,
Oh man,
your
that's
energy
very kind.
and your spirit, and some of the footage and some of your stories that you posted while you were in Italy and traveling over in Europe was just, I say, you know what? This man is the same no matter where he is on the planet. He still delivers. So
Thank you
tell
so
us what's
much.
going on, what's going on, buddy?
Thank you so much, Ron, for having me. First and foremost, I appreciate you reaching out, and I'm so honored to be the first guest you have on your second season.
Yes,
So
you're the
thank you.
first. You're the first. I
Thank
was
you.
like, we got to
What
do
an
this man
honor.
justice.
What an honor. I'm honored about that. That's beautiful.
Oh
Yeah. So how have
man,
you been?
I've been good. I've been busy working with right now. I've been helping out with Photoville.
Yeah.
So been
Amazing.
on staff and working with them on several several days a week.
Yeah.
I'll be back at the tent tomorrow. I should say the
Okay.
information desk and whatever else they need me to do.
Yeah.
Had several projects with obviously my clients with the Brooklyn Conservatory of Music and all the other clients and some other stuff that's going on, some other projects. Yeah, it's been busy.
Beautiful.
And I just got back, just like you. I just got back I spent pretty much 3 weeks on vacation, kind of like a little small interruption, but I was in North Carolina.
Okay.
And really enjoying Charlotte for the first time.
Wow.
And it was absolutely wonderful. And I ate like a pig.
Oh man, there's some good eats down there in the South, especially North Carolina.
The Southern world is just full of food. So
Oh yeah.
man, so what spurred you on to go to Italy? It's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite countries. I've only been to Milan, and but I love Italy, and all my friends had told me, they say, you gotta go to South, you gotta go this place, you gotta go that place.
I know. It's
You did some of
crazy.
that.
It's so many beautiful places. And so, wow. Well, let's see. What spurred me going there was an opportunity to be a host and an MC at a wedding. So that was the initial reason for me going over there. But then, given me being the infamous and the opportunist that I am, I ended up parlaying that into a 10-day trip with my wife. So
Nice.
there was 2 days for the wedding where essentially I, am a party motivator and I organize people. It's like herding cats, but it's beautiful when it all comes together. And it was the most beautiful wedding in Florence. So I was there, essentially just, making the party run. So I was there for that. And then after that, I was like, man, we've got to travel and seize this opportunity to see this beautiful country. So
Yes.
yeah.
What was your favorite part? What was your favorite place to visit in Italy?
Wow. I mean, that's really hard to say.
Yeah, because there's a lot. And I know there's different You can, because I know it's difficult to say answer that question, because like most people, they ask me, they say, "What is your favorite place in Africa?" And I go,
Mm,
that's a little difficult because every place has a particular reason why you love it.
right, right.
So
So
you
I'll
could
I'll
break
tell
it
you some
down that way.
highlights. Yeah, I'll break it down that way because I went to three places actually. I went to Florence,
Hmm.
um, I went to Rome, and then we took a quick flight over to Lisbon,
Mm,
Portugal. So it was a wonderful trip, and it was a whirlwind because when you're traveling, you got your bags, you're traversing through all these different places. Um, you grab a couple of shots here and there just to kind of
yes.
highlight the beauty of such places. And so Florence was beautiful because it was like the old country, right?
Yes.
So you got a lot of the beautiful old architecture. You've got all of the piazzas, which are like the courts where at the foot of every one of them, I didn't know this, is a church
Mm,
in every one of the piazzas, right? So they have the piazzas, you have these big, beautiful churches, and then you have the square, right? But at the base of the square, you have all the restaurants.
mm-hmm.
So the ideology and the tradition years ago on how this all went was essentially you have the churches. So when you let out in the churches, you have restaurants and places to funnel all the people coming from church. Essentially how
Mm,
we do in America. We have
yes.
that, we go and eat after church. That's what they do. So that's their way of doing it. And it's really, really beautiful. And it's a testament to the traditions and the customs that they have there. We go there and marvel at the churches and the grandeur of them, but at the end of
Yes.
the day, there's a purpose behind it. They're not
Hmm.
just tourist attractions; they are actual functioning bodies of an ecosystem, essentially, right?
Yes.
For their country, and which keeps it so beautiful and engaging and picturesque and everything that we enjoy. So yeah, so the beauty of just walking around, the little narrow streets and the
Yes.
seemingly alleyways, but they're actually streets,
So the
and
streets.
watching people converge with cars seamlessly on whatever road that there is. It's like,
Yes.
there isn't like a New York honk, like get out of my way. It's just kind of like a little tap, and everybody just knows their way on how to traverse through the city. And it's
Mm.
beautiful. It's beautiful to watch for sure.
I sat there when I was in Milan, and then also I had a chance to go to Malta, which is similar to Milan. A lot of customs that are going on in Italy go on in Malta,
Mm,
and they were sharing with me about the street designs of Italy and
mm,
Malta. Is that they have these curves to them,
yeah.
and they were saying that they're designed that way in case of someone, an invading army would come in,
Wow.
they would not have straight lines to move through the city. And
Mm,
because they had to curve through the city, they were able to be conquered or destroyed as they were
mm,
trying to move through the city. So and
wow.
also because back in the old days they used arrows.
Right.
So and you wouldn't get killed by the arrow because of the curving of the roads
Interesting.
and the streets.
Interesting.
Very
Wow.
fascinating about the layout and the architecture.
Yeah.
And like you said, the plazas, and that seems to be a very much it's like that in Spain,
Mm,
where there's the church, and then you have the plaza, Diamo, and then
hmm.
you have the plaza. Then you have another section and you can have several plazas within a city,
Oh,
because
absolutely.
at one time those plazas were like little towns.
Hmm.
And like you said, the church was like the center, and all that happened in that town revolved around the church.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep.
Wow. So
Yeah.
what was your when you saw the streets and you saw the people and you saw the architecture, what were some of the things that stood out to you? Like, the colors, the smells. What was it that really made
Yeah.
you say, "This is Italy"?
Yeah. Sheesh, where do I start? Well, you walk everywhere.
Yes.
which is fine. I mean, obviously, in some cities, here in America, it's like you can't walk around and traverse like we do in New York, where we walk
Hmm.
around and we can have the engaging interactions, similar to what I do. A lot of people drive, right? But
Yes.
here, um, it works in tandem. I've noticed that there are a lot of small cars there. For the
Yes.
parking, you get a lot of smart cars, Cooper Minis, a lot of small cars because they just need to get to point A to point B. They're not there to stunt, shine, do any of that stuff. Granted, there's Mercedes and all the nice cars, but typically speaking, your average Italian, from what I've gathered, we're people that's just getting from point A to point B. And it's not a huge
Mm.
family situation, it's one person. Also, a lot of scooters, right?
Hmm.
So everyone has a scooter. We have Vespas. We're like, oh, I'm in a Vespa. And we have our, sweeping scarf. We try to look like, we're on the coast of Amalfi, and it's like we do it as a luxury thing. They do it as a necessity thing.
Yes.
So that's another thing I noticed. And then let me see. Food. The food is all natural. They don't
Uh,
have to advertise everything
mm,
is organic or vegan or this, that, and the third. It just is or it isn't, right?
yes.
We market organic food, whereas it's just natural there.
It's just natural there.
Yeah,
No
and one
preservatives, none of that
right,
stuff that we have in our food here in America. I always
right.
say America is a little strange as a country. We're the only country that legislates or allows companies to kill us.
Yeah. And a lot of
Because
the stuff that we have in our food, a lot of the
and I
stuff,
yep, go
yeah.
ahead, buddy.
No, no, no. I mean, a lot of things we have in our food are illegal in most countries.
Yes,
So that should
illegal.
go. That should tell you
Illegal.
something. Yeah,
Health hazards.
yeah, absolutely.
Um, what was like when I was in Milan? Milan is like very fashion. Everything's fashion. It's
Mm,
very, you know, everywhere I walked in, every store I went into, as when you looked at clothing, I was teasing one of my friends because he's Italian. I said
uh-huh.
everything was black.
Huh,
It was like black dresses, black shoes, black boots, black jackets, black hats, black, it was a lot of black. That
interesting.
was, in 2000, and now this is in 2015, the last time I've been to Italy.
Hmm.
I think it's 15, yeah. And so what is it like? What's it like now? Is it still, they very much center on monotones, and then they accessorize with color. And since you're the clothes guy and the fashion guy, I say he's definitely gonna notice what's going on in Italy. What was the
Oh
thing of
man.
fashionably that you noticed that was something that stood out to you in the colors that they wear and the
Hmm.
types of clothes they wear?
You know what? It's funny because me and my wife, we we enjoy fashion. We enjoy our personal style. So when
Yes.
we went over there, we were really, really excited and expecting, like, oh my God, everybody's gonna be dressed to the nines and we're gonna be, breaking our necks to look at everybody and everything. But you know what? We were in Florence, which is, like I said, old country. It
Yes.
still has that old, traditional style.
Mm.
But, and then we went to Rome. But you know what? We were sorely disappointed
Really?
because because everybody was practical because they're
Yes.
walking around.
Yes.
So, not to say that anybody's dressed, but there wasn't any highlights to where we go, oh, okay, we're in Italy now. There wasn't that moment. It was kind of
Mhm.
like, everybody's like, just making their way through the city as they live.
Yes.
So and plus it's warmer now. So, you know, it's interesting. I've noticed more style and or fashion with people on um scooters, mopeds. Like
Really?
like I've even captured a couple of photos
Yes, I saw some of them.
of
Yes.
businessmen on Vespas, and they've got the helmet and the sharp suit,
This is
and they're
amazing.
getting
I'm
from
walking
point
down the
A to
street
point
here in
B.
Florence.
So it's like it was interesting. And then I'm trying to look for, younger people and see if there's like a cool little nook of like Lower East Side or Soho. I'm looking for that sort of vibe. And maybe you're right, that may have been in Milan. Um,
but we didn't go there. But the
Right.
places we went, um, man, I can't say we found it. I mean, people were dressed nice. It wasn't like people were like homely or anything like that, but
Right.
there wasn't anything that just stood out to be like, okay, we're in Italy now.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
I believe, and I'm not, you know, you can ask my wife about this. We were pretty much the fashion of
I bet you
where
guys, I guess you guys
or
stood out
where
like
we were,
movie
because we're,
stars.
you know, because we're like, we want to step up, we want to show up, we want to show
Yes.
out. So everywhere we go, my wife has got like her hat and her sunnies on and her skirt and her cool scarves, and we're like, we're there being the Italy that we see from a
Mm-hmm.
distance, you know. But when we got there, it was nobody looking like us. It's, I mean, and to double down on that, nobody looking like me. Because I didn't see, I could probably count on my hands how many black folks I've seen that whole time.
Yeah, in the southern part of throughout Italy is there are not a lot of black folks outside of Milan.
Yeah, yeah.
Milan has
So
not a lot of black people in Milan either, but I think that's the place that you'll find most of us. And so
yeah, yeah.
because I mean, it's a city. So, and also in like Milan, or you will go to Madrid, or you go to Paris. All of those cities are cities like New York City,
Mhm.
and immigrants mostly migrate to the big cities. And so
Right,
you'll if you're in Italy and you find black folks, you'll find that they're from Africa.
right,
They're
right.
not from America. They're from Africa. They're from Central Africa. They're usually from sometimes East Africa. I mean, they're all over the
Yeah,
place. But if you see black people in Italy, it's usually that they're from Africa
right.
proper.
For
Yeah.
sure, for sure. Yeah. So, which was fine for me. I mean, and I've had someone ask me about the racial component there, and if there was any sort of, um, you know, any pushback or weirdness or anything like that. And I'm like, no,
Mm-mm.
it was great. I mean, if anything, I felt like, you know, I felt like a rock star of sorts. You know, people would be like, wow, look at his style, or look at this. And you know, I'm like, you know, I guess that's an American swag, or whatever I brought to the situation. But I think both my wife and I collectively, I think we really made a statement wherever we went. I mean, there wasn't a door closed to us, you know,
Well, you got look.
as it
You
relates to
you
a restaurant or a club. It was like we walk up and I'm
yes.
like, we walk up and I'm like, no, this is what it is. Look at us. You want us to stand outside? And I
But
don't
you
mind.
guys, I mean, I mean, even in New York City, you're like what I call, and you find the folks that are like in your fashion world. I mean, and what I mean by, I mean, for those that have not seen, I mean, we're going to show you some of his pictures from his page. But before we go there was this gentleman. This was so, when you posted this was like, it made my day. First
Oh
of all,
wow.
I didn't know this gentleman,
France.
and now I'm
Yeah.
following him.
Yeah.
Now I'm
Franco.
following him.
Yeah, Franco. He was amazing.
Let me see if I
Um
can get.
Red because he has this. Yeah, it's good. But come forward a little bit more.
You're doing your thing as always.
yeah. This was fun.
You are doing it even in
Thank you
Italy.
so much. Oh my God. This is amazing. This is amazing. I'm walking down the street here in Florence, and I run into this coiffed gentleman that I actually follow in New York. You can't imagine who I'm running into. Sir, what is your name?
Hello. I'm Franco Mazzetti, France,
Yes.
1955.
Yes. Oh my God.
This was so
believe I ran
cool.
Yeah.
I
a
was
treasure.
like,
He was a treasure for
But-
sure.
but you know what? I think we are what we put into the universe brings to us. Because you are the same way in New York City. meaning
Yeah.
you are in Soho most of the time, you're walking around the streets of New York, you see someone that's like fashionably beautiful standing out from the crowd, you approach them, you have a conversation with them, and then you say, hey, may I photograph you?
Yeah.
You go to Italy and you meet one of the most fashionable people in Italy,
Yeah.
and I
In
mean
my opinion.
the universe just you're in the same spot, and this was not planned.
Can I tell you? I mean, yeah, I would love
Yeah.
to tell you the story.
Yes, tell us.
So we literally get to Florence. We go from the airport. We are in our taxi getting to our hotel room, and so we're kind of dressing, and we're like, it's raining. There's no way in the world. Like for me, I love to go and discover a city in its natural state, right? This particular day it was raining. It was kind of off and on. It was kind of
Yes.
spitting, but like, drizzling, but it was enough to kind of put a damper on what you would hope to be a nice day of walking in the city. So we drop our bags. I take a couple of photographs of my wife, which I'm going to post a whole series. I mean, she essentially got like a whole photo shoot for 9 days, whether she liked it or not. But I took a few photos of her that were very, very demure and very Queen's Gambit, um, um,
Mm.
kind of imagery. And we walk outside, and we're gathering ourselves. We just fluff our, just to open our umbrella, and we start walking arm in arm. And I'm walking, and I look from a distance. I'm like, that guy has a great look. Wait, hold on, wait. That's the guy I freaking follow on Instagram from New York. Like,
Yes.
how is he strategically right there on my path? And I'm
Unbelievable.
like, you've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. This is the guy that is Mr. Italy in my book. Like,
Mm.
he is Mr. Pitti Uomo, which is the
Mhm.
men's week, fashion week
Yes.
in Florence. He is the number one male sartorial influence over there.
Yes.
It would be like a needle in a haystack for me to find him or even
Mm.
know where he's from or where he lives. So when I saw him, I'm like, I thought I was dreaming. I'm like, I'm expected to see some Italian people dressed well, whatever. I didn't expect to see the most fashionable man in Italy within 5 minutes of us leaving our hotel. Like, that was insane. Like, that was incredible. That was incredible.
And you
Yeah.
ain't kidding. I went through his page. I was like, this man he dresses in
Yeah.
every style of elegance and
Oh my
class
God.
that you could possibly imagine. I mean, the
Yeah.
sweaters, the
Yeah.
suits, the
Yeah.
jackets, the sports coats, the blazers, the
Yeah.
look. I mean,
He, and I must say, shout out to Franco, because he could have easily been this Instagram guy that only wants to be seen and shot in his most stunning attire. But he
yes.
was gracious enough to say, sure, why not? I would love to get some photographs from you.
This
And
guy is amazing.
yeah, he is everything.
As you say,
So
he's one of those dudes that I live vicarious through.
yeah. I mean, he could have easily declined, and I would have been okay with it.
Yes.
I was
Yes.
expecting him to decline because he wasn't in his regalia that he's used to being known for. But I
Wow.
wanted to honor that moment and be able to make sure that the edits and the shots and the everything, I wanted to stay as close to his aesthetic as possible, but
Mhm.
also still be able to show that it's my work as well. And I think we did a great job. So it was an honor to run into him for sure.
Wow. I
Yeah.
would say that was probably one of your highlights of your trip, right?
I mean, gosh, there were so many, Ron. I'm telling you, there were so many. It was just blessing around every corner. And then I
So
ran into,
before you
then I
go
ran
there,
into,
before you go to
I'm
your
sorry,
next thought,
sure.
um, when you saw this gentleman, let me just take you back to when you first discovered him.
Mm.
How did you stumble upon him on Instagram, or was it a website or was it a magazine? How
You know
did
what's
you
interesting?
discover this gentleman?
I tell you what, this is a story within a story, so I'll make it quick.
Yeah.
So I met a gentleman here in New York
Mm-hmm.
that has a similar aesthetic that
Mm.
that wasn't really on social media. He had maybe 30 followers, and I met him at a Todd Snyder Hamilton Watch collaboration.
Okay.
And I saw this guy that looked very similar to this guy. I hadn't even started following him yet. But when I was coaching this older gentleman that I stumbled upon, his name is David. He goes by the Perpetual Gentleman. So when
Mm.
I was helping him grow his page, as his photographer, him being my muse, we were looking for sartorial type aesthetics.
Mm-hmm.
So we were looking for pages that he would then be able to follow so that he can start to nurture and grow his page in that same space, right?
Yes.
So David and we scoured, Instagram to find
Mm-hmm.
people of the same ilk so that we can at least be on the same playlist as far as followers and such, right?
Wow.
So when we looked up, this guy kept popping up. So I said, well, David, it'll behoove you to start following this guy because he has a similar aesthetic, and maybe you can piggyback off of some of the same followers, except you essentially can be him in New York. And so started following, Franco based on
Wow.
him being a muse for my muse.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's crazy. It's crazy. So
It-
yeah, yeah. So that's how it happened. And then I'd never met him or had any correspondence with him on Instagram. He didn't know I was anyone. I was one of his over 100,000 followers that, he didn't know was alive.
wow.
And just randomly ran into him. And I made reference that he was one of the inspirations for the gentleman that I would be shooting for the following 4 years.
Wow.
So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, how did you, I mean, how did that all come? I'm so glad you shared that because that was, I mean,
Yeah.
that's such good background story of,
Yeah.
again, the testament of always just being open to sharing and talking and opening up.
Yeah.
And that's the gift of, people say, Ron, you're on this, you do your touch base daily, you meet these people. How do you meet these people? I just say, you know what? I have nothing
Yeah.
to lose in saying hello.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
and I am of the belief system that every friendship begins with a hello.
Right. It really does. It's a great, great
Every
philosophy.
business deal, every networking event, connection with a business lead or your client, it begins with a hello.
Yeah, it does. And some people have the uncanny ability to be able to um, turn that hello into a partnership,
Mm-hmm.
um, into a relationship. And sometimes you could read between the lines of a hello based
Yes.
on a facial, demeanor or,
Mm-hmm.
you know, um, a thought after that hello. And for
Yeah.
me, I really find that when I meet people, it kind of is within that space
Mm.
because if I'm looking to engage with someone, if I'm looking to elevate someone's day, it makes me, it makes my day to make your day,
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
you know?
Yes.
Because I can go home and lay my head and know that I created a connection out of thin air
Yes.
that made someone's day. And then it's an ongoing relationship because now I'm posting about them and we're
Yes.
infinitely tied together through that moment
Yes.
on Instagram or through the, blogosphere or wherever it ends up landing. I'm a recipient of that moment and I don't take it for granted at all. So, when I get those moments, it's like it's far beyond like looking at someone as a mark for my
Yes.
content. It's like
Yes.
I'm really interested in you. Tell me more. And what I've began to do is to do subscription model to where because reels are only a minute and 30
Yes,
seconds.
right.
So for me, a lot of these interactions they've gone up as far as 20 minutes.
Mm.
Me talking to someone, I just turn the camera off, or I'll have it running to a degree to where I forget. and I've collected about 15, 20 minutes worth of, quote unquote content.
Mm-hmm.
But then, I'm like, where does this go?
Yeah.
I can't, leave this on the cutting room floor and sterilize the moment. I have
Mm-hmm.
to really find a way for people to really, engage with the content. And that's, it's a cost, but I think
Mm-hmm.
you're winning out more than I am, because
Yes.
I get to keep it forever. You know what I mean? Me being able to share it is something really special, to say, hey, here's the blooper reel. Here's how it really went down. And it really went down that way, but there's
Yes.
obviously nuance and some things that may be important to help tie the story together,
Yes.
but it may not be crucial for that minute and 30 seconds.
Wow.
So I have a lot of that content, and I'm like, guys, if you really want to see this more than what you've experienced right now,
Mm-hmm.
there's like another 15 minutes that we're just talking about life.
Whew.
And there's tears shed, there's hugs. And so it's like you miss all that stuff, within the confines of
Of a
Instagram.
reel,
So
or
yeah,
even
of a
just
reel.
even of a story. The stories
Yeah,
on Instagram is, you don't get
yeah.
enough of the full interaction, because
Hmm.
it's not that kind of platform
Right.
to allow it.
Hmm.
But you are, but I think that's what also builds the relationship, is
Right.
because they realize that you are not just in it just to get the content.
Right. Right.
Once the camera's gone, I'm out. you
Right.
know
Right.
you're lingering, you're interacting, you are, hey, how long you lived in this village, how long did you
Right.
lived in this town, how what's
Yeah.
the best pizza in the neighborhood,
Right.
it's,
Right.
those are
You
the
just
things
have
that
those
build
moments.
relationships. I
Yeah.
travel, when I used to travel in Africa, or travel in different parts of Europe, I would meet friends, and some of these folks are still my friends to this day,
Yeah.
and it's because, like you just said, is and like we're talking, it's more. And obviously, I wasn't doing any content, so I'm just curious, George.
Yeah. Hey.
I want to know what's going on with people, how they're thinking, what's going on in their town, where's the best place to eat,
Right.
and why do they go there.
Right.
I'm a creature of the why.
Mm.
So if I'm going to ask you, if I see something about you, I'm going to ask why.
Mm.
It's not enough for me to say, oh, Chaz got a beautiful red hat on. I'll be
Yeah.
like, Chaz got a beautiful red hat. Where did you get that hat from?
Right.
Where did it
Right.
come from? What made you wear that red hat today? So
Right.
I guess that's why now this touch base daily thing is a thing for me, because
Yeah.
it
It's
really
amazing.
lines up to my curiosity.
I would definitely say so, for sure.
So, can I ask you about Rome? What was Rome like? I've never been to Rome.
Rome, wow, it's big. It's a big city.
Oh,
So
wow.
I would say, excuse me, I would say essentially it's almost like the Manhattan of
Of
you-
Italy?
of Italy. Yeah, it's big. So it's got the, obviously the Colosseum. Um, it's got a lot of, you know, great attractions, large churches, and everything
Mm,
like that. But I must say, there are so many. When we say there's levels to this, there's
mhm.
a lot of levels to Rome. Because
Mm.
Rome, there are levels. The streets are very steep. The streets are
Really?
steep. But then you have like these little vistas that you walk
Yes.
down into another level of the city. So there's no rhyme or I mean, I'm sure there's a rhyme or reason, but there's so many levels. I could start here, but I could be at the base of the city, but walking down a long stairwell or walking up somewhere, and you look out, you're just like, oh my god, it never ends. Like, where am I right now?
Yes.
So there's a lot of walking. Cobblestones. Okay, so we have cobblestones. We have a couple of cobblestones, right?
Yes.
You go on like Crosby Street, somewhere like that in Soho, you get a cobblestone street. Oh, that's cute. I'm sorry, the whole city is cobblestones.
Oh, wow.
The whole city is cobblestones, including their streets. So it's like, and they're small. These aren't full on bricks like we have built.
Okay.
They're like, I don't know, they're like 3 by 3 or 4 by 4 inches, and they get smaller on the sidewalks and they're larger on the main street. But I can't, and they're all the same stones. They're all um, the same everything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how in the world and who took the time to lay every one of these stones
Mm.
around a whole city, big
Yes.
as Manhattan or larger? Every street, not just one cute little street that people take photos on. Like, oh yeah, let's go
Well,
Crosby
you,
Street, or let's
you,
go
we,
meatpacking where they got the cobblestone street. No, the whole city is
the whole
cobblestone.
city is done in
It
cobblestone,
is
in stone.
insane. I don't know how they do it, but yeah, Rome was like that. Rome was a little bit more with it, had a skosh more style, right?
Mm.
Because it is a little bit more cosmopolitan, right?
Yes.
So they had like sceney little cool rooftop bars, real cute restaurants. Like
Yes.
they had a lot more modern. They were a skosh more modern than Florence. I see some of these chats, but I can't see because my glasses. I gotta look like this.
Elise is saying Rome has a great flea market.
Oh yeah, so Rome, yeah, Rome for sure. They have great food. They have this one place that's similar to like a timeout type experience where they have like,
Oh,
and they're
really?
huge. They are huge. And the thing is, let me tell you something. These we call it like these food bazaars or whatever you want to
Yes.
call them. You know what I'm talking about. Inside, we're talking filet mignon, T-bone steaks. These aren't just like hot dogs and
Like we do
Panda
in
Express.
America.
Yeah,
The street food that's inside the buildings.
dude, the street food is inside the building. And okay, another thing that really hit me, and this was in Italy as a whole.
Yes.
They have dry aged steak hanging literally from probably every restaurant. We have it as a boutique, as a luxury item, where you have
Yes.
dry aged steak, and it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna pay $1,000 for a pound of meat. Like, you know what I mean? Like there, it's normal to have
It's
dry aged steak
everywhere.
because they're old country. They used to do that naturally. We've
Yes.
adopted it and marketed it,
Mm.
and it's just like I mean, so the food there was amazing. I was talking to
Wow.
a friend of mine, no, not a friend, I mean, a person that I met there that I end up getting to know. They were like, one thing about Italy is that you don't mess with our food. We don't, we don't mess with our food. Everything is
Food is
natural. It's cooked the way it is.
everything.
It was just like, oh my gosh, the food was insane, and they were very
Elise
accommodating.
says, as you were saying, Elise says, if you go to Rome, you should definitely do a walking food tour.
Oh my god, oh my god. I mean, the food there is amazing. And you know what? It doesn't leave you feeling some kind of way like American food. It's
You can eat all you want,
yes.
and you don't feel like you are a stuffed pig when you walk out of the
Well,
restaurant.
I did feel like a stuffed pig because I felt like we were eating every couple of hours.
You kept
And
eating.
we were eating or drinking somewhere. And I'm
Well,
like, babe, I can't fit another thing in my body. Like, it's like, oh, let's go for this drink. I'm like, I
yes.
can't even fit liquid in here. Like I'm stuffed to the gills.
And
Um,
so, before you,
but
because there's some photographers in the building and probably
okay.
listening. What is it that you think? I mean, as a photographer, what were some of the highlights of your experience
Wow.
in Rome and also Florence and in Lisbon? I mean, Lisbon's another place. Lisbon's where everyone goes to party.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's the party country. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a country
It
of
was beautiful.
older people.
Hmm.
But it is also the party. I want to say almost. I want to say I don't want to call it. It could be slightly considered the party capital of Europe or Southern Europe
Oh wow. I
because
don't know. Maybe.
people from Spain go there, people from
Yeah.
Italy go there, people from Paris go. It's like where people go to party. They
Yeah.
just get on a
Yeah.
plane, like we get on a train, or they go on a train, or it's where people hang out. So
Right.
I'm due to it for a trip to go there. My next door neighbor just moved there a year and a half ago. And
Uh
I keep telling her, I'm coming to visit. I'm coming to visit. So if you see this
huh.
video, Yeah, I'm coming to visit, Chris. I'm coming to visit.
Yeah, yeah.
But what
No,
is it from a
it.
photographer's point? What do you think is what would be some places that as a photographer in your genre, as a
Hmm.
street photographer,
Hmm.
and fashion and all that stuff, where would you say are the highlight places to go?
Wow. I mean, wherever your eye takes you. To be
Mm,
honest with you, I do. Excuse me. I do this from time to time where I essentially shoot intentionally with one camera. Now,
mm,
with that being said, if we can speak photography for a moment,
yes.
I brought my Leica Q, which is a
Okay.
28 millimeter camera.
Okay.
So that means I was relegated to shoot within that 28 millimeter um,
Confinement.
confinement, right?
Hmm.
Which gives me a lot of flexibility because it also doubles as a macro lens as well. So whenever I'm shooting food or something like that, I I'm able to use that. But I found that this particular camera worked for me because I love the architecture. I love the little streets. I love the alleyways. I love the dimly lit bars. I love the
Hmm.
restaurants. I love um, just the streets in general. And Portugal, just to add to that, Lisbon are known for their um, streetcars. The
Yes, those the
Yeah,
trolleys, like the
the
trolleys.
trolleys. So Lisbon had the trolleys. So it was beautiful to catch one of those iconic moments where there's a trolley coming towards me and it's coming down a windy road and I
Yes.
catch it just so. Those kind of moments in Lisbon were great. But like I said, I just think in general, the architecture and the old worldness of it was
Yes.
just so captivating. And you're actually able to get those leading lines, because you're working with a 28 millimeter and you're getting a vantage point from the top of a hill or bottom of
Hmm.
a hill, right?
Mm.
So along the way, you get these beautiful shops and restaurants and stuff. But then there's also the best views. You could be at the top. We went to the very top of the city of Lisbon
Yes.
and in Graça. And that place, you just look over this whole vista and it was the whole city and it was just like a 28 millimeter is great because you can capture it all, you
Yes.
know and you could be in the shot without being distorted,
Yeah.
if you're taking that traditional touristy sort of
Yes.
shot. So but I would say what was really engaging, just also the passive, unapproachable, not unapproachable as far as like a mentality, but the moments that you don't want to touch,
Mm.
like I caught a gentleman walking with, you know, a loaf of bread that had his traditional look on. It's in that reel that I recently posted. But that shot was just iconic to what I believe of what I wanted to experience in Italy. And it
Mm.
was just
This is a
I literally, my wife was with me and I had to keep running up closer because he was unsuspecting. He didn't know I was behind him.
Yes. Yes.
I had to keep going closer because he was walking. He was just doing him. But I had to keep running up because I'm using only a 28 millimeter.
What? Yeah. And
So,
is it well?
but I
That's it.
got the shot. It's there.
Uh-huh.
It's in that reel.
But I want to interject. Isn't
Sure.
that what's beautiful about the 28 millimeter?
Yeah.
Like I have my 35 millimeter, but now you talk me listening to you. I think I'm going to get
Oh,
a 28 prime
oh man, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
because it forces you 35 millimeters, 50 millimeters on down, 50 millimeters and lower, and all the mostly the fixed lenses, but the 50 on down cause
Yeah.
you to be intimate with your subject.
And that's what I love. And I shoot that way. You say wherever I go, I'm myself wherever I go. And
Yes.
there are days where I go to the city with one or two different cameras. Well, I go with one camera, but depending on how I feel, just like
Yes.
wearing a new outfit or
Hmm.
wearing clothes in general, I find myself one day I feel like being up close and personal with people. So let me go ahead and
Hmm.
take my 28 millimeter out. I feel like being a little bit more voyeuristic and from a distance and maybe kind of
Hmm.
capturing things from afar. I'll take my 90 or my 85 just
Yes.
so I could just be away from it and not really have to, where I'm getting honest, true street photography. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Those moments that are untouched and and unassuming, where you're just capturing life as it happens. I tend to use my 28. I mean, my 85 or my 90. But when I really feel like engaging and really, getting
Yes.
up in a conversation,
Hmm.
I take my 28. So yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. But
I am going to invest in a 28.
yeah.
I don't have a 28 in my arsenal,
hmm
but I saw some of your photos and I see how you work that 28.
Every
You
one of the
know?
photos in that reel are from my Like a Q.
I know, and then I saw you with your camera. I was like, oh, what's he got going on there? Yeah, I cannot wait to see some of the other photos, because those photos are beautiful. That whole
Thank you.
reel, the whole setup of this, as you're going through these pictures, and I'm just gonna go in
Interactions with
silent mode, but
strangers.
as
I
it's
recently
going
had an
through all of
incredible
these,
opportunity to explore
I
Italy,
mean, look at
and I couldn't resist
the
capturing its
shots, the
magic through my
angles,
lens. My like a cue, to be
how everything
exact.
is in
These photos are
frame,
not an
and
artistic
I
shift,
love the
but
frame, like
rather
you
an
said, the
extension of
leading
what inspired me
lines,
to
and
start this page in the
it just
first
makes you
place.
feel so a
Sharing my
part of the
photography art form is
environment.
a way for
Oh,
me
I
to
love the
fully
couples.
express myself,
Couples in Europe.
and I'm so
That's
grateful
a
for your
whole nother
support and
subject to talk
understanding.
about on another
Your
day. But
encouragement means the
I
world to
mean,
me.
look how these
Rest
pictures are
assured, New York is
gorgeous
still my heart and soul,
in
and I'm
this
excited
reel.
to share more unforgettable moments from our city. Thank you
But
for allowing me to be me
this
and
is
for
how
being a
you
part of
really
this journey.
shoot Europe.
Grazie mille.
I mean, my opinion.
I want to
My
take a moment to
opinion,
thank each and every
when
one
you
of
go
you
to
for following my
France, you go to
journey through the
Paris,
streets of New
and you're
York,
hanging out in the streets of
capturing these
Paris,
raw and
and you're
beautiful
in London,
interactions with
you're hanging out in the
strangers.
streets of
I
London.
recently had an incredible opportunity to
I mean, I
explore
have a
Italy,
28 on my
and I couldn't
Zoom
resist capturing
lens,
its magic through
so
my
I use
lens.
it.
My
It
like a cue,
fully
to be exact.
not
These
not
photos are not an
extended,
artistic shift,
so I have a
but
telescopic
rather an
28
extension of what
300,
inspired me to start this page in the
and
first place. Sharing my
I use
photography.
that lens a lot of times when I'm in those countries with just a 28, but I need a 28 fix. There's
Yeah.
something, because the clarity and the smoothness of it is just a little more beautiful.
Yeah.
So
And and also, if I may,
yes, go ahead.
I just one of my mottos as it relates to my photography is every image deserves its own edit,
Mm,
because I wouldn't edit a portrait like I would, something, architecture or some, landscape or a
so
cityscape or
true.
anything like that. Obviously, a lot of your viewers, they understand and know that. But I think we get to a place where I've seen some people are so hung up on their aesthetic,
Yes.
that they don't honor the moment or
Mm.
the image, and they just slap one preset on everything
Ugh,
just to call it their look or aesthetic.
yes.
But I believe, for me, my aesthetic is anything I capture, because it's coming
Hmm.
from my eye. Hence why my page is called Langley's Eye, which I vacillated long and hard to find out where my space would be and what kind of name I would have when I joined Instagram later than most. I was
Yes.
like, man, is it a hook with the name that brings everybody to your page? Like, what's the? But I'm like, you know what? I got to stay true to myself. And if this is all coming from me, from my mind, from my eye, it's got to be Langley's Eye. So, and it doesn't matter what image that it doesn't matter what image it is, you'll know that it's mine, because maybe there's a sense of warmth with it as far as the aesthetic and or the subjects. And,
Yes.
I think, if I look at, I have a content scheduler, and essentially it shows me my color palette, and it's
Mm.
all warm.
Hmm.
It's all warm tones, and that's just the way I choose to
Your
to
page,
use my page.
your Instagram page is so beautiful.
Thank you so much.
It's so well thought out. It's so well planned.
Thank you.
And
It took a
truly,
while.
but you know what? Well, it's like fine wine. It just takes time.
Yeah, yeah,
And I mean, and you see the evolution in your
yeah.
page.
I was really, when I first started, I thought that everything was gimmicky and you had to have a hook and you had to do this one thing that makes you go viral and makes you a certain way. But so
Yes.
I used to be hell bent on having 3 rows across for like a
Yes.
couple of years. But then
Mm-hmm.
I really started to loosen that up a little bit. I keep an eye on it every now and again, But I'm like, this thing is just having a mind of its own, and I can't be so hung up on the perfect 3 across so that my page looks perfect all the time. I actually even did a did a Skillshare class years
Yes.
ago about how I put together my page, but I've kind of loosened that up a little bit
Mm-hmm.
and pretty much have somewhat of an idea where it's going, and I just do it for me now, not for everybody else. So
Wow.
yeah.
Man, we're running out of. I hate the end, but the good thing about coming on 10 o'clock now is that if we happen to go overtime, we can.
Oh wow, that's great. That's
So
great.
I don't have to box you in and say I gotta get up. We gotta end it.
Right.
But so that's coming on earlier that was another reason of being on at 10 o'clock now instead of 11. To give more breathing room for the guests and
Yeah.
breathing room for what we're doing here on this platform. I see
Absolutely.
here, there's definitely some there. This is Elise talking about food. Okay, we got those in. Okay, great. So, do you want to talk about your podcast channel a bit? Or
Yes, that would be
do you, I
amazing. Thank you.
mean, because y'all don't, for those that our audience that met Chaz last time when he was on, we pretty much know the dude. We know a lot of him. We embrace him and love him. But in case you're here for the first time and you haven't seen, so that's why I want to make sure you know exactly where you can find him, because
Yes.
it's so important that you do so. And
Yes.
so
Thank
I'm
you.
going to show you his YouTube page. So Chaz on YouTube, check out. Let me just change this out. Let me just change this out. Hold on a second. Gotta pop
The
this on.
podcast, because I know my page is everywhere, but if you can get straight to the podcast, that would be great.
Go straight to the podcast.
It's a
Yeah.
whole folder, so it is concise, but
Mm-hmm.
I got a lot of stray hairs of other content, which is beautiful and great. But I know you're talking about the podcast, so I want to honor that.
Yeah, let's go there. Let me just pop this in on the screen. I'm just gonna go with the whole screen on this one, so that way I can maneuver quickly. Okay, here we go. So this is your page and the podcast area of the page.
Not the audio one, but the regular one. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is go to video.
Yeah.
This one. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think that encompasses all of the
Yes,
episodes and
and
such.
your subjects are so on point. And
Yeah.
can you talk a little bit about the premise of all of this, because you are literally, beside me not telling you, the
I'm
people
actually
that
having
you
lunch
are
with
in the
him
living room.
today. I'm actually having lunch with Tom today. It's funny. I haven't seen him since this episode.
Very important.
Oh, really?
I haven't seen him since this episode, but we're gonna have lunch today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
but you just plop on the seat on the sofa
yeah,
and just start talking.
yeah. Well, it's not that easy, but there was a little forethought into it.
Yes, yes.
Just like yourself. I mean, obviously, it's a blessing to come into getting to know people to a degree to where you can invite them over to your house. I mean, you're not doing that, but I'm just saying, like, the fact that you can engage with someone and say, "Hey, would you like to be on my podcast?"
Yes.
And for me, initially, I started off the hard way.
Mhm.
In a way that it was a solo podcast, essentially just ingratiating myself to a new and budding audience that doesn't know me. So I have strategic moments where I'm speaking about my creative pursuits, also my personal life with my fatherhood. um, so I hit a range of topics, from photography to singing to doing commercials to jingles. Pretty much talk about the over encompassing things that I do as a creative. And then the second season essentially is opening up the platform to like-minded creatives that I really
Mm.
enjoy the work of, or people that I feel like they're moving the needle in their respective place. Like Daniel here, for example, he is an amazing multi-disciplined actor that's worked
Mhm.
with everyone from Robin Williams um, to Brian Cox to an array of different. But he's one of those artists that you've seen him in everything, but didn't know it was him. He's
Yes.
one of those type of people. And
Wow.
so I met him in Mexico City on a trip last year. Oh, I'm sorry. No, just in October. I met him in Mexico City, and he looked familiar, and I couldn't place why. And as we got to talk, we just hit it off or whatever, just for maybe an hour or so. But he had mentioned that he has a daughter in New York. And I said, well, the next time you're in New York, let me know. I'll have you on the podcast. And lo and behold, he hit me up.
Wow.
He made time to come over to my place. And we had one of the most inspirational, most amazing conversations. And that was all just from a random encounter in um, Mexico City. So
Wow.
this is a very, very, all of these are really amazing. But since you're on this one, I'm just kind of telling you the genesis and the vibe of this one, which was
Yes.
just absolutely amazing that we actually got all the way to this point to have this intimate conversation. Yeah.
You are, but I mean, you are truly the living, breathing example of what it means to connect and follow up.
Yeah.
Because it's so funny because people say, Ron, how did you end up in South Africa, living there for 3 months and photographing and all that stuff? And it was because I was in an art gallery.
Mm-hmm.
She's now one of my best friends. And she
Mm-hmm.
was in front of a picture that I was trying to photograph. And I was like, this woman needs to get out of my way. So I said, if I can't beat them, I'll join them. So I went over to her and said, hey, hello, how you doing? And just had a conversation. Next thing you know, we started having it, talking and sharing. We ended up talking for this is at David Yarrow's photo exhibition here. It was in
Mm.
Soho, and this is in 2000, I think 14.
Mm-hmm.
And we're there, gather all the big wig photographers are there to support David Yarrow, and
Uh-huh.
his work is in like Buckingham Palace and all these other places.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're talking, and she says to me, she says, oh, this is beautiful. We start talking about Africa. I had just come back from Ghana, and we just sharing. And before you know, we just have conversation. And then she says, you have to come visit us in South Africa.
Oh,
And I looked at her
wow.
and said, oh, really? And she goes, yes, come on down to South Africa. You can spend some time with us. Now,
Yeah.
we just met. But
Wow.
this is how we travelers act. For those that
Absolutely.
don't know, this is a traveler's behavior, like people that travel the world.
Yeah.
And I said to her, I'm on.
Yeah.
I'll come on down. Then she says to her husband, she says, come on. She said, hey, come on. Ron is coming to visit us. He
Yeah.
was like, who's Ron?
Oh my gosh,
And
that's
then he looked
funny.
at me and says, do you love wine? I said, yes.
Oh my
He goes,
gosh.
then come on down.
Yeah.
And we've been friends ever since. I mean, she's literally one of my best friends
That's
in the
amazing.
world. I've traveled with her on safari. I've traveled with her. We've done so much together. I visit and go down and visit them and spend time. I try to do it at least once a year at their house. But that was a hello.
Yeah.
Again, I will, if we can title this, it would be The Beauty of Hello.
Yeah.
I mean, you went up to this gentleman in Mexico City. You guys had a conversation. Someone said hello.
Yeah.
And then now, less than a year,
Yeah.
the man is sitting on your sofa on a podcast in your house. Are we
When you say it
crazy or
like that, it
what?
kind of has a different it kind of takes on a whole new vibe. But if I may,
Yes.
also in the spirit of this conversation, I want to take a moment and step back
Yes.
to a place that both you and I have been fortunate enough to be able to traverse, and that's being able to be Black and traveling.
Yes.
The fact that I met my first white person when I was 10 years old in Washington, D.C., in Chocolate
Mhm.
City,
Chocolate
to,
City.
to be able to have the opportunities that I've had, to never even thinking that me as a Black man or Black person back when I was a child, I thought flying in planes were for white people.
Yeah. Yeah. Same here. Same here.
And to be able to sit and have a conversation, fast forward umpteen years, to be able to talk as two Black men and talk about our travels
Yes.
is such a beautiful thing, and I do not take it lightly. Um, yes, I am supposed to. Yes, we are supposed to live this way.
Yes.
But when we're conditioned a certain way in America, that it's not the norm and that it's somewhat of an anomaly.
Yes.
And you have these different, Instagram pages like, you know, Black Travels and Travel While Black and
Mm-hmm.
all these sort
Mm-hmm.
of things, because we were never supposed to be here.
Yeah.
So to be able to hobnob and talk about Rome and Italy and da 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 and da da,
Yes.
it ain't flippant. I'm
No.
so grateful to
No.
be able to have this type of conversation because
Yes.
it's not normal. So, I talk about these things and I look at them as blessings to know that, even the things that I captured are things that I imagine Italy to be. I may have
Yes.
seen or felt somewhat of an aesthetic of that, somewhere in the history books,
Mm-hmm.
but to actually be able to go and capture it with my own eye
Wow.
is is a blessing that I do not take lightly. So just to
Wow.
be able to talk about you going to Africa, I've never been to Africa. I would love to
Oh,
go. But it's one of
you,
those.
oh,
Oh
you
yeah.
would,
Oh, I'm
oh,
sure.
you would be in.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. So, I mean, but to be able to have this conversation as two Black men is very refreshing, and
yes.
it's very needed, and I would say even therapeutic for myself, for you, and maybe your viewers too. So I'm honored to be able to share, my travels and some of my personal experiences, on your show, which is great. And this is not to,
Wow.
put a cherry on top of the conversation, but I just wanted to honor that moment
No,
and
this was
honor, yeah.
beautiful. That's, you bring something to my attention and a remembrance of how fortunate we are really to have been able to do it. Because I look at my parents, my mother or my father have never been to outside of New York. I mean, other
Hmm.
than where my mom's from North Carolina
Hmm.
and my dad's from Jersey. So, but
Yeah.
I'll never forget the first time I arrived. My plane is coming in for a landing in Lagos, Nigeria.
Mm.
And it's the first time landing in Africa.
Mm. How did
And
that
I
feel?
remember
Yeah.
as I was sitting in that seat and I looked out the window and I saw the shanty tin roof houses with the smoke coming out of them and the folks
Mm.
on the water and you're coming in. I had 1,000 emotions going on at the same time.
Wow.
And I
Wow.
started to cry.
Mm.
And the reason why I started to cry, I was happy and full of joy, but I started to cry
Mm.
because I was like, my ancestors left here as slaves.
Mm. Yeah.
I'm the first of my family lineage
Hmm.
to return back
Mm.
as a free person.
Wow.
As
Wow.
my grandfather, my great grandfather, my great great grandfather, they could only imagine what Africa looked like.
Yeah.
And I am their great 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 descendant.
Wow.
And I can walk the streets of Africa.
Mm.
And but when I was landing, I remember being and I said, "Oh my gosh, this is what it feels like to be Italian.
Mm.
This is what it feels like to be Irish. This is
Mm.
what it feels like to be Chinese when you can go back to where when your ancestry. We're
Yeah.
all humans. We all appreciate the humanity of all of us. But there's something about going back to our ancestry home
Hmm.
that turns on a switch in us that is there's no verbal way of even describing it.
Yeah.
I remember as it was like something clicked in me.
Yeah.
You're home.
Yeah. That's
And
good.
it wasn't some spiritual crazy like, oh my God. It was just the switch went on.
Hmm.
and I said, I'm home.
Yeah.
And then when I got into walked the streets of Lagos, and I looked around and I said, everybody looks like me.
Yeah.
Everybody looks like me. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I had never been in an all black environment. I had never
Right.
seen Africans.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, he looks like LL Cool J. Oh my gosh, he looks like Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
And you just looked at these folks and you're just like, oh my gosh, there's so many cool people here.
Yeah.
And but that's the beauty of travel.
Yeah.
And for those, I'm always encouraging. I said the best gift you can give your kids is the gift of traveling the world,
Yes.
because you will ignite in them something the border education can't.
Right.
And that is the connective tissue or the connective wires, the plug-in, that they are part of a planet. They are part of a global community. I always tell people, they say, you're American. I say, yes, I'm American, but I am a global citizen.
Right.
I'm a global citizen.
Speaking of which, I need to register for my global citizenship, because getting back in this country is an absolute nightmare.
Oh yeah, I'm a global citizen traveler too.
Yo, I mean, I thought having my TSA was something. I mean, going
Yes.
in and out of the country is insane. Coming back was,
wow.
If you've ever come back from Portugal, oh man, you have to show your passport twice in 2 separate long lines.
Oh, and it's even more difficult now after COVID. They've Europe also has new restrictions, so there's a lot of new layers to restrictions in Europe. So it's not like you used to do and just get on a plane and just go. There's a lot more layers. I have as we close out, I would like to know, what would be you get the last word, sir. What would be your closing thought, or what would you want to share with this audience and anyone that's going to see this video? What would be your closing thought?
Wow. I've said this before, and it's somewhat of a through line in my overall artistic, lifestyle that I have. But what I would love to impart, something that came to me organically, which is essentially find the place in life where you shine the brightest. Some of us may be tied to our circumstances, like you said earlier. You didn't get to see a certain thing in your life until you became a certain age, right?
Yes.
And the same for myself. But we don't know what's out there for us until we go and get it.
Yes.
So, for example, I mean, you look at a bottle of water at in a bodega, $1.50, right?
Yes.
But you take that same bottle and put it in VIP in a club, it's about $10, $20.
That's right.
Same bottle, different purpose and different value. So I encourage a lot of people to take that ideology and find that place in life. If you live in a small town, you aspire to be in a big town, go. Your value may go up. I moved here from Nashville, Tennessee. The things that I do right now as a New Yorker, now being here 17 years,
yes,
I would not have the same value as if I was Chaz from Nashville.
Yes. Yes.
So me moving to New York upped my whole life. And that's me finding the value and finding where I shine the brightest and where my contributions to the creative world made the most sense for myself. So find the place in life where you shine the brightest.
Wow. Thank you, man. Guys, I'm gonna end this in this video. In the description, we'll have all of Chaz's connections. It will have his website. It will have his Instagram. It will have anything that has Chaz on it. Will be in the description of this video. So make sure you check that out. Link it. Go to his page. Check out his YouTube page. Go there, like, subscribe. You know how we do. If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure you like, subscribe, I didn't even put my little thing up here. I gotta make sure I do it right. Here we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Make sure you
There we
like,
go.
subscribe, share, because that's how we creatives continue to grow in our audiences. And but yeah, this man, you set it off right, sir. He's the first. Chaz is the first interview of our second season. And did you guys enjoy this? Could you please? I want to see some hands, some applause. I want to see some love. I want to see some hearts.
I want to check. I haven't even been looking at the comments.
The comments
what's
have been
going on here. If I can say some, I see the girls club.
Yes.
Said something really nice earlier. I think I saw that. That was really sweet. Thank you so much. Yeah, but great audience here, and I'm so glad to be able to be a part of it for such a small moment. But
you are always welcome. You can come on here anytime you want. You can co-host if you want. You can do it. You have a free invitation to. I mean, you bring such great perspective on so many levels, and that's so again the beauty of who you are, is that you're not just one person in a box. I just do one thing. You show that you can do many things.
And one more thing, just one more thing.
Go ahead, buddy.
People, it's like life is short, right? But I'm like, I forget what I was going to say, but the bottom line is live your lives.
Yes.
You have one life to live. There we go. You have one life to live. Live them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I like Aya says, you had me at hello. That's priceless.
That's great.
You had me at hello. Isn't that the truth?
Absolutely.
That's how it rolls, guys. Oh man, I could stay on here all day and chat with you. I mean, this was so wonderful. Again, thank you, audience, but thank you, Chaz, for coming on. Thank you for taking the time out of your day. And I know you are a busy man, and so for us to have you here is such an honor. And again, anything I can do, anything this audience can do, let us know so we can support you and in your endeavors, because you are really a light, and it's so good to see a nice beacon of light shining so that we can be drawn towards and also what you do.
Thank you so much. Please definitely watch the podcast, watch or listen. My World from My Living Room.
My World from My Living Room. Make sure. And where else can they find you so they can have the verbal?
Okay.
You already have him at. You already seen him at his Instagram page is Langley's Eye.
Yes.
Yeah. So check that out as well.
Thank you, Ron. You're the best.
Saying goodbye is hard.
I know, right? How do you end it?
It's like when it's like you don't want to pull the plug. It's just too nice. It's the vibe here. The energy is great. And I'm going to be coming to you for wardrobe tips.
You seem to be doing a pretty good job yourself. So
I love your style. I mean, I just love it. It just makes me so happy. Anthony says he's now following. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Thank you, Anthony. Appreciate you.
Yeah, Girls G Club says Ron does not want to go. I don't. They know me very well. This audience. I love this audience. I love this community. I love the folks that are here. We are truly birds of a feather flock together. Everyone's here about supporting peaceful energy, no negativity. We are just an interesting bunch of folks over here. So, but again, thank you so much, guys. So I'm gonna have to put this in. I'm gonna have to put this outro on. So focus on what matters. That's focus on what's matter. Life is too short not to. And out with that note, we're out of here. Later. Bye.